the city of Philly, where the birds take flight. Eagle swag on the rise each and every night. Coach Markus got the scoop ready to ignite. From the lanes of South Street to the Broad Street lights. Dashing like a running back, hitting every play. 9 guys in the zone, never led astray. Talking touchdowns, talking game day. Huddle around the mic, hear what they gotta say. Fly like an eagle soaring in the sky. Coach Markus always standing by. Bringing the heat, call it do or die. Philly squad, hear the battle cry. Fly like an eagle soars in the sky. Coach Markus always standing by. Bringing the heat, call it do or die. Philly squad, hear the battle cry.
Yeah. What's good, beautiful people? This is your boy, Tone DeShields II. I'm joined by none other than the Coach Markus Thomas, man. We appreciate y'all so much for locking in on the content. You guys are tuned into your Eagles preview show, not your Eagles pregame show, but your Eagles preview show,
Yes,
a Super Bowl edition, man. This is what we asked for. This is what we've been discussing all year. This is what we've pontificated about. This is what we've predicted. We all knew what we had in this Philadelphia Eagles team, and lo and behold, they've been showing their weight in gold. And now's the time for them to prove why they've been the best team all year, why they are the best team, and why this team deserves the respect that they've been given by the fan base. And sooner or later, the national media will catch up. But nonetheless, let's stay in the moment. We're about a week away, Marcus. How are you feeling, man? I heard you've been really locked in the lab with the film, my friend.
Yeah. I'm feeling good, man. I am supremely confident of what we got going on. Defense wins championships, and we have the best defense. And by the way, our offense is not that bad either. So the same rules apply, man. The same rules apply. Do what you did to get here. We were talking earlier. Every test that they have thrown our way, we have passed. They said we were going to lose to the Bengals. They said Joey Burrow was going to put it on us. Then they said Baltimore was going to put it on us. Then they said Pittsburgh was going to put it on us. Then they said LA was going to put it on. Every test that has come across our field, we have handled. We have taken care of the 2 best running quarterbacks in Lamar Jackson and Jay Daniels. We have taken care of 2 of the best passing quarterbacks in Joey Burrow and Matthew Stafford. What else do we need to prove? It's not about, we earned this respect across the league, period. We earned it on the field. Everybody had something to say, turmoil on the team and any other stuff that you want to throw in there because everybody's not dialed in like we are here in the Philadelphia area. So everybody, had a chance to flap their gums. There was a lot of crow eating these last couple of weeks, in this last week in particular. And at the end of the day, the rules stay the same. Sunday afternoon is 2 teams going to get on that field in New Orleans, and we're going to see what's what. And based on what I've seen this year, I do not see a reason why our team will not come out on top.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. It's funny when you think about how we got to this point, right? Those first 4 weeks of the NFL season for the Philadelphia Eagles in particular, they started 2-2, and they were very herky-jerky those first few weeks. I mean, you really didn't know what product you were going to get each and every week. It kind of seemed like, okay, one day the offense seems like they're clicking, then the defense isn't clicking. And okay, the defense figured something out, the offense got stifled. Okay, the offense is moving the ball, but okay, we're turning the ball over unnecessarily. Defenses keeping points off the board, but it seems like they can't get that one stop to end the game. So it just seemed like this defense was going through a growing period those first 4 weeks. And it was to be expected, right? Coming into the season, we thought, or even just wanted for this defense to just be middle of the pack. Our expectation was just be average, and the offense can do the rest. Just be average. You brought in Vic Fangio. You drafted Quinion Mitchell and Cooper DeJean and LIX Hunt, right, on the defensive side of the ball, and Jeremiah Trotter Jr. as well. You also brought in Zach Bond. You brought back CJ, You know, there were question marks all over this defense. New guys, right? Oren
Yeah.
Burks, right? There were question marks. You even brought in Devin White at one point. We had no idea. We had no idea what this defense would ultimately become. There's no way any of us could have foresaw what this defense is today. Again, coming into the season, we all just wanted average, which just speaks to how bad the defense was last year.
The fact that you brought up Devin White, man.
It's the cold reality, and some people at one point thought that was a mistake. And let's be honest about this. We were kind of misled a little bit when it comes to the whole Devin White saga, because throughout training camp, you and I would talk about this. Throughout training camp, the first team or the first guys up in the rotation was always Devin White and Zach Bond. Those were the guys that were always first in the rotation. And then Kobe Dean would always mix in. Jeremiah Trotter Jr. would mix in.
Yeah.
But then you get to week one, and Devin White has this phantom wrist injury or ankle injury, whatever it was, and Nakobe Dean gets slated as the starter. So initially, all of us was under the impression, okay, Nakobe Dean's just filling in until Devin White's good to go in week 2. But then a report comes out, I think pregame, that Nakobe Dean was always slated to be the starter on defense in the first place. So now we're like, hold on, wait. This wasn't the narrative that was going on throughout the entire camp. And on top of that, it wasn't like Nakobe had the best training camp. He had his ups and downs, and most notably, he had a really rough opening practice. My father was there. I had some people there, and Kenny Gainwell was giving him the business, so he was struggling in the open field tackling. So a lot of us, and even Vic Fangio mentioned how he still had a ways to go, right? So there were question marks surrounding the linebacker position, right? We knew Zach Bond out of all of them was clearly the best at that time.
Right.
But again, this defense, we didn't expect it to become what it became, right? Some people can try to say they thought this, they thought that. There was only one thing I was sure about, and that was Zach Bond. That was one thing I was sure about, is that Zach Bond is going to be a player for the Eagles. I didn't know all pro level. I didn't know that. But I felt Zach Bond would be a stable contributor on this defensive side. I did my research on him. I felt like Zach Bond would be a contributor on the defense as a starter. I felt that way based off of just his wide range of skill sets and how he's able to impact the game. And it's funny what he's done in those final 5 weeks as a Saints linebacker when he got the chance to start due to injuries over there. You saw him affect the game in different ways: sacks, tackles for loss, pass deflections, interceptions, right? So forced fumbles, fumble recoveries. He was everywhere a little bit. So now you aggregate that, or you multiply that based off of a full-length season, and that's the player we've gotten, right? So again, this defense has exceeded all of our expectations from top to bottom. Who would have thought the rookies would have came in and made the impact they did? Who would have thought Cooper DeJean would be this far ahead of Avonte Maddox? There were so many questions coming into this season with the defense, and now they've proven themselves to be Super Bowl caliber.
The funny thing about the defense, and the reason I brought up Devin White, because I thought Devin White was a big signing. We knew what his pedigree was.
We all did.
You just don't, and I look at it from the standpoint of, you just don't luck into being the captain of a defense. There has to be something there. There has to be some type of leadership quality. There has to be something there. On top of, you was on the Super Bowl team, right? The fact that Vic Fangio has wiped away that memory, with the addition of nobody has worried about Fletcher Cox. Nobody has worried about Hassan Reddick. And that was the one I was like, how are we going to replace this production? Those three names right there: Hassan Reddick, Fletcher Cox, and Devin White. We haven't even mentioned them this year. Haven't even mentioned them in passing.
That's crazy when you think about it.
We miss Fletcher Cox, right? We miss Hassan Reddick and those. We ain't even worried about it. And that goes to show how far Vic Fangio has brought this defense from what we looked like last year, because we was straight hot garbage. And that is a gross understatement. We were that bad last year. Couldn't tackle worth crap. And it just, if the bottom fell out last year, then the defense was the ones pulling the support beams. You know what I mean? Because it was that ugly last year. And to go and even saying worst to first doesn't even do it justice. Doesn't do Vic Fangio justice. And I remember going back and forth with some of the Dolphins fans
Mm-hmm.
because when Vic Fangio left and everybody had something to say, and the way he was going off and kicking rocks and all, and I was like, y'all had a top 10 defense. Something ain't right with this.
I'm so glad you said that. I was not buying the whole Vic Fangio Miami Dolphins narrative at all because, for one, it's Miami. A lot of you guys are very posh, very pretentious. You know, you get used to that Miami sun, and you get soft. You get soft. Let's call it what it is. Listen, you put Miami in anything sub 40-degree weather, they get soft, they crumble. Let's be honest. It's proven. I remember when Tua had that press conference and said, "Hey, we're looking forward to going to Green Bay. You know, we're looking forward to we're killing some narratives." Got their ass kicked. Like, come on, man. Like y'all soft. And Vic Fangio was a Pennsylvania guy, Scranton. You know what I mean? That's railroads and oil and coal and all that kind of stuff, right? You know, that's a blue collar, man. That's a blue collar mentality, a blue collar community. So when you think about Dunder Mifflin Paper Company, like that's blue collar, baby, Scranton. So when you think about it from that perspective, Vic Fangio wasn't meant to be in Miami. He wasn't supposed to be there. He was supposed to be in Philly last year, but things got a little wonky with Jonathan Gannon stuff. But you said something really interesting. You said tackling was awful.
Yeah.
In so many words, you said tackling was awful. And you played this game. You played since you was a kid. I'm sure growing up, you didn't start off as a running back. You probably played a little defense, a little bit of offense, a little bit of special teams. You was everywhere. When you were a kid, you're everywhere. Until you find your place, right? Speak to the difference in the mentality shift from 2023 to the 2024 season. I think outside of just scheme and understanding their jobs better, I think there's been a stark shift in how these guys approach the attention to detail, to how these guys approach how they execute the game plan. There's a clear disconnect between the effort this season versus the effort last season. Vic Fangio has done something remarkable to these guys' commitment to the game and just how in sync they are when they fall out to the ball. Speak to that disparity for me.
It is just a mindset. It's hard to put in words because it is a mindset. It is an environment. When you hear teams talk about we got to change the culture, I don't think people really understand what that means. I don't think people, unless you've been through it before, it's hard to put into words. It is, you know what? It is by definition the manifestation of peer pressure. If you go into a certain situation, and you are, I don't know, you go in your high school and everybody ain't practicing hard, and then if you go on full tilt and everybody on your team get mad at you because you making us look bad, you got a decision to make. Do you go with what you know, or do you bend to the pressure? Because everybody else, you don't want to get, cross your teammates. So there's a fine line where you got to, like, all right, do I do what I know I need to do to win, or do I dumb it down so the team looks better?
But there's there's a third option there, isn't it? A third option should be, hey, guys, let's step our weight up. We better than this. You lead by example. Am I off when I say that?
Yeah, no, you're not wrong. The problem is that can only come out in certain situations. That's not going to work with everybody. That's why it's a culture. That's easy to say, but it's a little bit harder to say when you're the only one saying it. That's my point. If you trying to be boisterous and set an example, and ain't nobody following your example, then you end up being an outcast. And the only person that can change that type of attitude is the head man in charge, is the coach. So it all depends on, it starts from the coach and goes downhill. When you look at old boy in Miami, the coach for Miami, is he somebody that comes across as a tough, hard-nosed type of dude that's gonna get the most out of you out of practice. To me, that's just not his personality. No fault to him, because he got some brain when it comes to the X's and O's and stuff like that. His skill set just is in another category.
But I
when you
think
look
that's
at
what
somebody
separates
like
him from Sean McVay, though. That's the difference,
absolutely.
right? Sean McVay has that intellect, but there's an edge with Sean McVay as well.
Exactly. Or you look at somebody like Dan Campbell. You know what I mean? So you get different things out of different people. I've said this many times, you don't deal with people, you deal with personalities.
Mm-hmm.
Vic Fangio, Nick Sirianni have got the perfect personality for this city. When Nick came to town, we just didn't know it yet. But I'll never forget. Shout out to my guy, Jim Ballard. Jim Ballard, we played together when I was with the Scottish Claymores. He was our quarterback when we won the title. Ended up playing a couple of years in Buffalo. But he coached Sirianni in college at Mount Union. Right? Yeah. So he knew when we hired Nick Sirianni, I had him on my podcast at the time, and he was like, this was right after the Flowers speech, right? And he told me, he said, you got to trust me on this one. Just wait and see what this kid does. He's different. And I was like, I said, all right, man, but you can't come in Philly talking about planting flowers and whatnot. This ain't the town for that. He was like, dude, just trust me. He called it. He said, you got a good one. And then when you see what he's about, he's from a blue collar town, Mount Union, families in football, and you got the family support, the whole stereotypical Italian thing. There's benefits in that because, you know how families is to Italian, not like it's not important to anybody else, but that's a stereotype that you lean into, and he leaned into, and people bought into it. And it wasn't any more evident, and we talked about this before as well, than the speech last year for Fletcher Cox. Mm. Fletcher Cox had the biggest cosign of Nick Sirianni, and he didn't have to do it. He did not have to do it. That was his moment to talk to his team when he was walking away. Nick Sirianni didn't have nothing to do with that. He made the choice to say, Nick Sirianni is here for y'all, and I'm supporting him. However, I can't remember exactly how he said it, but he gave full support to Sirianni. And I was like, wow.
It shows in the actions, Marcus. I mean, when
Absolutely.
you see these guys still coming back to the city, still coming back to the games, Fletcher Cox has been back to many games, right? You've seen Chris Long, you've seen Kelsey.
Just look at when Fletcher Cox and Zach Ertz hooked up after the game.
Yeah.
That is very difficult to keep that type of energy and that type of familial love in the locker room, because every year you got new people coming in and you don't know who's going to buy in or not. You can get a hothead, you can get a prima donna, you can get all of that stuff. That is a possibility every year. But when you have the larger group of people, when you have the majority that buy into the coach, when you get those one or two outcasts that think different and want to do different, the majority will overrule them, because you're looking at what the environment is around you, and on top of that, you win it. I guarantee you, if Jalen Carter was on another team, he would not be having the success he's having. He might be as good, but he'd be a basket case, because he'd be off the chains. And if somebody like Clint Hurt wasn't there to calm him down, somebody that can speak his language. So now you get into, now Sirianni is smart enough to get the assistant coaches, the right assistant coaches. I need somebody that can speak my language. And as big and as bad as Jalen Carter is, Clint Hurt been around a little bit longer and is a little bit bigger and might be a little bit better. You know what I'm saying? So that coaching matters. And we got the best coaches in the best situation. I don't know what the situation is going to end up with Kellen Moore. But I know right now that our quarterback is in the second Super Bowl in 3 years with a different offensive coordinator. He's had 4. So now we can say, man, I wish Jalen Hurts could be like Patrick Mahomes and have the same person all the time consistently. But he doesn't, and he's still winning.
It's a good point.
Everything they throw it our way, man, we passing that test.
That's a good point. And I love what you mentioned about, the culture and Nick Sirianni being able to speak the language and, employing people on your staff who speak your language, and how that message can just trickle down to the players. The best example you gave, the Jalen Carter thing, right? Him, we knew what his story was coming into the NFL, and I'm willing to bet, like you said, if he goes anywhere else, he's not the same player, probably not the same commitment to detail, and it wasn't just the organization or the framework, right, or the infrastructure. It was the fact that he got drafted to a team with 3-4 of his other college teammates, right?
Mhm.
Keely Ringo, Nolan Smith, Jordan Davis, Nakobe. When you put all that into the same pot, you throw Jalen Carter in there, that's a recipe for success for him. And especially, there was a moment where, in that Rams game, actually, Jalen Carter got his first sack of the game. It was the sack where he picked up Matthew Stafford. And Nolan was right there.
Like you did Jalen Daniels.
Like you did Jalen Daniels. Exactly. And they went to the sideline. I think it was a mic'd up clip. They went to the sideline. Jalen Carter, as soon as he got to the sideline, the first thing he said was, hey, Nolan, thank you for trusting me right there. Thank you for trusting me, no. Nolan walked up to him and said, don't you ever say no shit like that to me ever again. Boy, you see that shit, you call it. What you talking about? That's ball. Like, when I heard that, Nolan obviously fired me up, and I just love Nolan's energy. I love the way he carries himself. I love his leadership. But that was a defining moment to me in Jalen Carter's career, because I know a lot of people talk about the last sack, but that first sack for me is a defining moment, because that was a vulnerable moment for Jalen Carter. People may not look at it like that, but for him to outwardly express himself, cameras, mics around, say, hey, Nolan, thank you for trusting me. The way he said it sounded to me like somebody who admired Nolan Smith, looked up to Nolan Smith. Nolan Smith seems like you can tell Jalen Carter has so much reverence and respect for Nolan. And you can tell Nolan is always the one in his ear saying, hey, yo, listen, you got the keys, bro. I'm following you. You see it, you call it. I trust you. What you mean? Like, there's a relationship there that can't be quantified. And it just speaks to the relationship that's been built on his team, the culture, the familial aspect of it. That was a defining moment for me when it comes to Jalen Carter. I don't think you get that version of Jalen Carter in any other situation.
Nah.
Nolan Smith.
And don't forget the biggest piece.
Yeah.
Like, don't forget about the mental flip. And what I mean by that is the stereotypical, the student becomes the master. Right? Who was the captain of Georgia? Who was one of the captains at Georgia?
Nakobe, right?
Nakobe. Yeah. Nakobe's out of the picture now. So to be
wasn't Nakobe and Nolan roommates?
They may have been. I don't know if they were. I didn't hear that. But you could be. I don't know. But let's say they were. My point is that you've got that bond, because now Nakobe is a leader on the team. He's the leader of the defense. He's calling the shots. He's the QB on defense, right? So now you got 3 of your boys in the starting lineup that you helped captain to a national championship win. So you still got that leadership quality.
Real quick, Marcus, they were roommates. Nakobe and Nolan Smith were roommates.
Okay.
Which speaks to their level of leadership, right? Those are the two best, in my opinion, those are the 2 best leaders to come out of Georgia that we have.
Right. Now, and think about all of the conversations we had, right? So you already know my affinity for Nakobe Dean, right? He was one of the captains at Georgia when they won the title. So Nolan Smith and Keely Ringo and Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis, they all looking at him because he's one of the leaders. And he stepped up to the plate. Then he gets hurt. And what did I say a couple weeks ago when we was talking? Who was the leader of the rookies last year? Nolan Smith.
Nolan Smith. He showed that day one. It just didn't manifest on the field because sometimes these things take time. Right?
Fast forward to this year. What was everybody saying about Jordan Davis last year? He got to lose a little weight. He got to get his cardio up, blah, blah, blah. What happened in the offseason?
He got right. And it helps when you got guys around you who are clearly taking it seriously, right? You can't help. That goes back to your original point, right?
Exactly.
If there's no culture for you to buy into, you're not going to lean in. One person can't dictate a culture. It takes a unit. And those Georgia boys, Nolan took his body seriously in the offseason. Jalen Carter took his body serious in the offseason. Nakobe took his body serious in the offseason. If you're Jordan Davis, you're looking at your homies like, oh no, I got to keep up. It's what is that? Osmosis, or by proximity. Like you can't help but to adopt the habits of the people you're around.
Absolutely. I gotta find this. I was watching a video. It was a basketball coach. I can't remember if it was a pro or a college. I think it was a pro coach. Or maybe it was I don't remember. I got to find this clip. He was talking about who are the guys that you want to sign and bring into your organization. And he mentioned one guy. And the point he was trying to make was he's not the guy that's going to hit the winning shot. He's not the guy that's going to drop 30 on you. He's not that guy. But he is the guy that's going to keep all of the other guys from staying out till 3 o'clock in the morning at the strip club. He's that guy. He's that guy that's going to make other people think about what they're doing, and he's going to keep some of these people from getting in trouble. He's that guy. And I'm saying that to say we've got those guys in our locker room.
A lot of them.
Because we've had plenty of sparks thrown in the powder keg, and we ended up dumbing it down. Do people forget last year we had Ndamukong Suh, and was that last year or the year before when we had Ndamukong Suh and Linval Joseph?
That was 2022.
2022. Why would guys like that want to come, especially with Ndamukong Suh with his history? But now he's the leader. And you look at the two, in my opinion, the two biggest transformations in personality and leadership on our team right now, Jalen Carter and CJ Gardner-Johnson.
Dive deeper into the TJGJ part of it. That part is really
in my opinion, those are the two most volatile personalities on this team. And when CJ Gardner-Johnson got kicked out of that Washington game, that changed him because he ain't been the same ever since. And
I agree 100%. 100%, I agree. 100%.
He understands what's at stake. He understands that you can still have the flair and you can still talk your talk, but you still got to be measured and you got to focus it in the right direction. And that moment right there taught him what he needed to do. And he has been lights out ever since. So to have that type of just have that type of energy, and now you know how to control it and focus it, and you ain't so off the cuff. Because let me be honest with you, Jalen Carter, that New Orleans game, I was worried. I was like, okay, we got something here, but can we keep it in control? He
was towing the line.
Yeah,
he was towing a line, and there were games similar to that, right? There were brief moments, but it seemed like the flame each and every week, what was a blaze, what was a volcano, was slowly just becoming more focused, more tamed, more controlled.
Yeah,
because again, I want dogs on my team. I want violent guys on my team. I do. I'm sorry, but the question is, do you have the infrastructure to be able to hone that, to focus that, to polish that, to chisel that into a sculpture, right? Like, is there a way? Do you have the people in place?
There you go.
Not just the coaches, but do you have the personnel in place that can help that locker room police themselves? Like I can go on and on how many players on this team who are bona fide leaders and who are not afraid to step into their role, who lead by example on the field and off the field, right? And this defense doesn't become number one without that. This defense doesn't make it to a Super Bowl without that, right? Yeah. This is the defense. This is a defense that the Kansas City Chiefs are going to have to deal with for 60 straight minutes. I know a lot of people got the Chiefs as the favorite, and I'm glad they opened as the favorite. I'm glad. I'm honestly glad, because as Philly, we operate better from that from the underdog spot. That's just who we are. That's just who we are. We operate from that most doubted, category. That's just who we are, man. So again, this is going to be a defense that the Kansas City Chiefs, in my opinion, they haven't faced a defense like this all year long. They will be tested, right? This defense has no holes. You got CJGJ on the back and Reed Blankenship. Reed Blankenship is 2 years wiser. Reed Blankenship he's always in the right spot.
Exactly.
Right. Again, you got the personnel on his team, not just with the tangible skills, but the intangible skills. Right. There was a have you heard of that interview series called Rear View by Experian?
I've heard of it. I've never watched
it. So basically they have guys, sit in their cars and they have them answer questions. Like there's no host or moderator, but I'm pretty sure they give those guys predetermined questions as it pertains to their previous game, and they answer them and stuff like that. Sometimes episodes 20 minutes, 15 minutes, 25 minutes, whatever. After the NFC Championship, Cooper DeJean and Reed Blankenship was in the car. Our exciting whites. They were in the car, and I'm just looking at their chemistry. I'm looking at their relationship. I'm just seeing how they're talking about their teammates, and I'm saying to myself, "Yo, we got some ballers. We got some ballers on this team, man. We got some ballers. Every position they got taken advantage of in that previous Super Bowl against the Chiefs, the Eagles have upped the level, upped the score, upped the ante. Right? Avonte Maddox not going to be on that field being a liability. You got Cooper DeJean in there. Bradbury's not going to be a liability. You got Quinyon Mitchell in there. Right? Your starting safeties went from CJGJ and Marcus Epps to CJGJ and Reed Blankenship as a full-time starter now. Your linebacker core went from Kaiser White and TJ Edwards to Zach Bond, would have been to Kobe, but Oren Burks. I think that's an upgrade from the previous Super Bowl, right? Darius Slay is playing better than ever. I think Darius Slay is playing better this season than he did in that previous Super Bowl season. Maybe he doesn't have the INTs to match, but I'm looking at his ability to just stay in phase and things of that nature, right? Not allow himself to get stacked, right, by the receiver. He's just been playing very well, and in these playoffs, he's been phenomenal. They've hit a stride. They forced 10 turnovers through 3 playoff games. Where they do that at? And you haven't turned the ball over not once, plus 10 in the turnover differential. You see what I'm saying? So this team is peaking. They're sparking at the perfect time, Marcus.
They are in the spot where they need to be. And peaking, that's the right phrase right there. Because everything is working the way it's supposed to work, period. And they're doing what they need to do, and they're getting it done week after week after week. The defense is showing up and forcing turnovers. You know what? Respect to the Washington coach, where he said they forced turnovers. We didn't fumble the ball.
He emphasized that.
They made that happen.
He emphasized that.
Absolutely.
By the way.
So, film don't lie.
And to your point,
to the ball, and
I think
tackles, getting people on the ground, and they forcing the ball out.
Marcus, I think obviously it happened in the game, right? But I think he emphasized that so much in that press conference. Like, again, he kept saying, listen, they forced those to happen.
Yeah.
They punched those balls. They punched the ball out. I think he emphasized that so much because he talked about it all week in practice and in meetings. I know for a fact he drilled it. He drilled it because the previous time they played, he forced 5 turnovers. Six turnovers in total if you count the first game they played early in the season. I know for a fact he emphasized it so much. It was 2 things going into that game where he said, listen, above all else, we got to make sure we do this. We got to stop Saquon, and we got to protect the ball. And they failed in those categories miserably.
Yeah.
You got to go into your post-game press conference and make sure that, hey, they forced those turnovers. And all the turnovers we've sustained or we've been able to accrue, we forced those to happen. They weren't like bad snaps. We forced every single turnover throughout this playoff series.
No, we got the best defense in the league, bar none. Period. I'm not concerned. I don't particularly think that the Chiefs linebackers have played. They played well this year, but do they have all pros on their team? No. Their secondary can get got. And they got problems on offensive line as well. So somebody gonna have to.
Are you talking about Chiefs?
Yeah, the Chiefs.
Okay.
They got to worry about Caliendo, and I know Joe Tooney's about. He'll probably be a Hall of Fame player, but
he's a left guard, not a left tackle. He's a left guard.
Yeah, but they had him at left tackle a couple games ago because I watched it on film.
No, I know. What I'm saying is that's not his natural position.
No, I guess my question is, why was he there in the first place? That means somebody was hurt. Like
Exactly.
Is that situation? Does that situation still exist, or are they going to move him inside so he can help deal with Jalen Carter? And can he deal with Jalen Carter? So there's a lot of questions that they have to answer because our defense has been on point all year. Period. We have not, even when we weren't playing our best, and when we lucked into some wins or whatever people want to call it, the one thing that has been consistent the entire year has been our defense. So I think offensively, in my opinion, the only thing we got to worry about is I need Jordan Mailata to have a hell of a game against Chris Jones because Chris Jones is going to bring it. However, he was 2 years younger 2 years ago, and we still put up points. So we still got to do the same thing. We still got to, win the line of scrimmage and first and turn the ball over. That's what we got to do. Force turnovers. Because the defense is leading the pack, and there hasn't been anybody that can stop us.
That's been the part.
Don't see why. I don't see what's going to change. I'm expecting, you know what? Everybody been talking about Spags, and Spags is phenomenal. But you know what? Vic Fangio got 2 weeks to prepare too. So wasn't Spags around 2 years ago when they was in the Super Bowl? And how many points did we put up on them?
35, baby.
So guess what? Anybody can get got. Spags included.
That's a fact. Hey, you guys, make sure you smash that like button and make sure you guys are subscribed to both Pro Fan Talk and the Chalk It Up Sports Network. We appreciate you guys for locking in on the content. It means a lot to us. It goes a long way. Make sure you guys continue to stay locked in. This content only gets better. You guys need to exercise your power as consumers. We got over 300 people tuned into this live stream, you guys, between both channels. Make sure you guys lock in. Again, as you guys can see behind my man Marcus, he does film breakdown. He does an amazing job. This man has been watching film religiously, played the game, understands the game. He's been diagnosing. He's been analyzing this Chiefs offense and defense to no end. He's the brains. He's the brains of this duo we have here, the football brains as it pertains. So make sure you guys stay locked in. We appreciate you guys so much. Smash that like button on both channels. Make sure you guys are subbed up to my man, Coach Markus at Pro Fan Talk. So, and we're going to get to your super chats, by the way. We're going to get to your super chats. Trust me, you guys. We will get to them. As a matter of fact, you know what? It's 4 right now. Let's get to these 4 before they get out of hand. Let's do that. First up, we have our guy, Green Wingman.
Appreciate it, brother.
Thank you with the $20 super chat. Shout out to my man, Greeny. He says, if Hurts wins the Super Bowl, do you feel that the narrative will change and how quarterbacks will be viewed in terms of their performance? The quarterbacks that have been thrown over 200 yards have been eliminated from the playoffs.
No, it's not going to change the narrative because this has been done before. You look at when what's his name with Baltimore that year. Baltimore went with the Ray Lewis defense. Who's their quarterback? Trent Dilfer.
Yes.
So Trent Dilfer wasn't throwing for 1,000 yards, but nobody had the issue that they have with Jalen Hurts. This type of stuff never came up. He did what he had to do. They called him a game manager and all of that. And I'm like, hey, and he game managed his way to a Super Bowl victory and a ring. What's the problem?
It's the money, man. Let's be honest. Like it's the money. It's the money.
That's it in a nutshell.
If Jalen Hurts was making $40 million a year, nobody say a word.
Nobody would care. Nobody would care. But at the bottom line, like I said a couple weeks, man, it's a whole lot of passing yards watching this game on the couch.
And it's a whole lot of $50 million quarterbacks sitting at home watching this game on the couch. Jalen Hurts is the only quarterback left in the playoffs that's making north of $50 million a year. So y'all tell me who's making do or living up to the contract. Y'all tell me. See, y'all think this money is about, oh yeah, what they put up numerically, stat-wise. No, they're paying you that to win football games. They're paying you to put them in winning situations. They're paying you to put them in the big game. I'm sorry. Jalen Hurts is worth $50 million. He's worth $50 million a season. He's putting you in 2 Super Bowls in the past 3 years. I would think that's the result a owner, a GM would want on their investment. If I'm giving a wide receiver $30 million, okay, I expect you to catch that ball when it comes to you. I expect you to be able to take over games and dominate, right? That's the wide receiver aspect of it, right? A wide receiver can only impact winning, but so much. They got to wait for the ball to come to them. But when you're the quarterback and you're the leader of the franchise, and you have and everything runs through you, and turnovers 9 times out of 10 happen through you and because of you, or can happen through you or because of you, right? You can't. A quarterback can win you and lose a game, and everybody else can do their job. But the quarterback, it runs through him first. And for Jalen Hurts to be getting paid, what he's getting paid, and delivering on 2 Super Bowl appearances, a playoff berth in every single season, 2 division titles. When you're paying a guy that kind of money, that's what you expect, and he's coming through on his side of the bargain.
Absolutely. Let's use that Moneyball math. Let's divide his salary by the number of wins he gets every year. Then we find out who's the most expensive quarterback.
Ooh.
Wasn't that what Moneyball was about? He said you got to buy wins. And how do you buy wins? You got to buy hits. So you got to get them players that can get on base.
Marcus, you talking now.
He broke it down.
You talking now.
So let's look at the wins that we get. The hell with the passing yardage. The long ball is overrated. You know what I mean? One of the things that I was looking at when I was watching the Chiefs offense, the Chiefs operate in space. They run their offense to get guys open in space. They're not looking for somebody to burn them, to run past you 30 yards downfield. They're shifting and putting people in motion so they can create space on the field, and Patrick Mahomes knows where that space is. That's what they do best. So when they're going up against Buffalo, and you got the fastest man in the NFL, Xavier Worthy, and you playing 8 yards off the ball, what do you think he's going to do but run a quick slant? What do you think Kelsey is going to do? When they shift him over and now all of a sudden he ain't being guarded by a cornerback, he's being guarded by a linebacker. So it's all about the mismatches and getting in space. So they know where their bread is buttered. And all we got to do, this is going to be an Oren Burks game. Because Oren Burks has got to come up and really put the clamp on Travis Kelce. Now, easier said than done.
It's gonna be a challenge.
Yeah, that's gonna be a big challenge. Because there's only been a couple of games where he hasn't been up to par. And a lot of those games, a lot of that was Mahomes. Mahomes throwing bad balls and stuff like that. But nobody talks about that. But he does. He's missed some passes. He's missed some open receivers too. Every quarterback does. But it just gets overshadowed. So we gotta, and this is where I say I got supreme faith in Vic Fangio with 2 weeks to prepare for somebody. I think we'll be okay. But this might be another one of those games like the last Super Bowl. The team that makes the least amount of mistakes is going to win. And I watched that Super Bowl the other day, and when you get to that damn fourth quarter punt return, that was the wrap. Everything else we came back from. Jalen's fumble, all of that stuff, we came back from that. But that punt return early in the fourth quarter
gave him a touchdown. Because now you're not forcing them to go to the length of the field. That's time now you're talking about. If they go to the length of the field, that probably kills enough time for them to prevent the comeback. But you gave them the ball, at the 20? Like, where did they return it to? The 10, the 20?
Yeah, they got it inside the 10, I believe.
That can't happen, man. Anyway, thank you, Greeny, for the super chat, man. We appreciate you for stimulating the conversation, brother. Thank you. B. Rufo with the $4.99. Thank you. They say over here, go Eagles. Great work. Appreciate your energy and enthusiasm to bring Eagles content and film breakdown. Rufo, we appreciate you showing love for investing in the content. Thank you so much, B. Carlos Rosado.
What up, Carlos?
Going to Big Dog with a $2 super. He says the theme to Super Bowl 59 for the Birds is belt to ass.
Belt to ass.
Listen, Carlos, I'm with you on that, bro. I'm with you. Listen, I've been saying it, and I know a lot of people think I'm crazy when I say it. But my predictions, my fervor, my intention this season has been undeniable. And what I'm trying to say to you guys is this Kansas City Chiefs offense against this Eagles defense, they're not scoring more than 24 points. They're not. They're not. Some people may say, Tone, you crazy. Tone, you talking out your ass. Tone, what are you talking about? This is a Super Bowl. They put up 38 points on us last time. Well, this defense is different. Because what we ignored all season in 2022 was how much that defensive line was carrying that entire back seven. Like we completely ignored that. We ignored how much pressure that defensive line took off of safeties and linebackers and James Bradbury, right? Even Darius Slay, but even though I think Darius Slay was the best DB that year, but we ignored the amount of pressure, or we ignored how much we relied on sacks that year. We ignored it. But this go around, this defense doesn't rely on sacks. There's a game where we don't get a sack, or there might be a game where we get 2 sacks, maybe 3. This defense isn't reliant on sacks. This defense, see, another thing that doesn't get talked about is this defense gets a lot of tackles for loss. They may not get the sacks, but they get a lot of tackles for loss. And in my humble opinion, a TFL holds the same weight as a sack, in my opinion. You want to know why? Because a TFL, just like a sack, forces the offense to lose yards, and it steals a play from them.
Absolutely.
The same result. The same exact result. They just call 2 different things. The sack is just when you get the quarterback. TFL is when you hit everybody else. So, again, Jalen Carter, for example, he may not have the sacks this year. I think he ended the season, the regular season, with 4.5 sacks, but he got 2 in the playoffs, I think, right? How many does he have in the playoffs? 2, 3?
Carter?
I think he got 2 in the playoffs, right? Or 3. I know he got 2 in that Rams game. Let's just say 3. So Jalen Carter, 7.5 sacks, regular season and playoffs included. Did you know Jalen Carter has like 15 TFLs this season?
Yeah.
Something astronomical like that. Let me double check it real quick. But my point is, this defense, they're ready. They're built. They've been forged to the fire. Jalen Carter has 12 tackles for loss this season. Zach Bond has 11 tackles for loss. Nicole Bedine had 9. Josh Sweat had 9. Noah Smith had 8. Milton Williams had 7. They are TFL merchants. And again, I put TFLs in the same category as sacks. So
I agree, man.
So I'm looking at this defense and I'm saying to myself, yo, the way they fly to the ball, the way they prevented Jaden Daniels from taking over that game with his legs, they prevented Lamar Jackson from doing that. Think about every game for the most part that they played against a quarterback like that. They didn't really allow the quarterback to really, like the quarterback run game didn't really dictate the outcome per se. It really did. Sure, they get theirs somehow, some way, but it didn't really influence the largest outcome. I know Jaden Daniels had that crazy conversion in that second game, but no CJGJ, no Jalen Hurts, things of that nature. So much went into that game. But fully loaded, this Eagles defense, this Eagles team has done a good job at dealing with mobile quarterbacks. So Patrick Mahomes is a mobile quarterback that people don't give enough credit for. I think his most dangerous asset is his mobility, because when he gets you, it's like a backbreaker. You know what I mean? So again, Carlos, I feel you. It's built to ass.
Rest assured, they scheme that up too. Whenever you see, because this is one thing I've been noticing in the film study, whenever they line up in that empty set and they have trips to one side or the other, what they have a tendency to do is bring on the twin side, they'll bring that other receiver in motion. So now you got 4 to one side. Which way you think it's going? Then what happens is that lone receiver at top will drag across. So everybody's going one side and he breaks out and runs the other way because there's nobody over there.
They clear it out.
So they'll clear it out. So that's the things that we gotta be aware of, because the one thing, Andy Reid, he can draw up some stuff. And that's what he's been doing. But I noticed when I looked at the Chargers game and when I looked at the Buffalo game, I don't know why they kept switching. They were going 3 deep, and then they would change it and bring somebody up, and then it would be a single high. And then that's not what you want to do, because when you got Xavier Worthy that can take the top off, Now you forcing your safety by himself to make a decision. And more times than not, he ain't gonna make the right decision. So, but again, we got Vic Fangio on 2 weeks worth of prep time. So we're good.
Yeah. Yeah. Shout out to Carlos Rosado for the super chat. And that's blunt.
Appreciate you, Carlos.
I think your question is, slowly starting to be answered, right? As far as thoughts on matchups, coaches, and players. I mean, there are players you want to look out for on that Chiefs offense. And Xavier Worthy, honestly, it's really his speed. That's it. I'm sorry. Like I look at Xavier Worthy, he's speedster. That's it.
If we can get hands on him a couple times and put some hits on him, we'll be okay. But I know that's a big if sometimes because the way they like to use them, they always put them to the outside, and they use the jet motion a lot, and they use the jet motion sweeps and things like that. So they are trying to get him the ball in space. I know they got a quick screen that they like to use where they'll have trips on one side.
We respond to that well, though, Marcus. We defend that very well.
Yes, we do. But you got to look at it like when I see plays like that, I'm not looking for a big play because the way that the Chiefs did it, like Patrick Mahomes snapped the ball, he didn't even get his feet set, and he was throwing the ball over there to the right. And what you trying to do? That's just a glorified pitch play. Because everybody else is on the end man on the line of scrimmage to the opposite side. So Xavier Worthy or whoever's going to be out there is one-on-one. And once again, that's what I say, when you got your cornerback that's 7 and 8 yards off the ball, as soon as he gets the ball, he's got 5 yards of space to do something. So you're talking about a play I'm not looking for him to take it to the house, but if he gets 7 yards on that screen pass,
success.
That's a plus. So those are the things that we have to be ready for. And this is where you lean into Cooper DeJean and lead into Reed Blankenship, especially Cooper DeJean being able to come through and make those tackles behind the line of scrimmage when you one-on-one.
He's very good at see what the Chiefs do very well is that they're very good at putting your nickel and your linebackers in traffic, getting lost in the traffic. Right? They force you to have to sift your way through your own guys to get to your matchup. And throughout this season, we've seen Cooper DeJean in particular and Zach Bond get through the mesh, get through the traffic very, very well, right? Their eye discipline. This team, I think this team is significantly more disciplined this season, significantly more as far as gaps and matchups and responsibility. And the one thing that failed the Eagles in their previous Super Bowl outside of just giving a big plays, but I mean, this coincides with it, was the communication. The communication
started, out of my mouth, bro.
Started to fail. And the one thing that I've noticed by watching these mic'd ups and watching these sideline videos between these guys on offense and defense, the one word that I hear a lot is over communicate. Like over communicate. And I know that's been preached from top down. Because when you get that close in 2022 and then your season happens the way it did in 2023, now you're coming into the season with new coaches, new bodies. The expectation, you know what the expectations are.
Yeah.
Over communicate. Make sure this person knows what their responsibility is. And when I watch this defense play throughout this playoffs, they communicate all the time. You see guys moving guys around. You see guys tapping each other. You say, "Hey, you good, right? You got him. All right, bet." It's the level of communication they've displayed in real time has been phenomenal. Real quick, Marcus, when it comes to S Blunt super chat though. Because I'm gonna get to the next one. What matchup are you paying very close attention to this game? Right, a lot of people are looking at the Jalen Carter interior, the Jalen Carter matchup with the interior. I think his name is Trey Smith, their guard, right? Is that his name?
Yeah, but I thought it was Caliendo.
Well, Caliendo's the left guard.
It all depends on where they play.
Right. Good point. But anyway, which matchups are you looking forward to the most in this game?
Well, obviously the Jalen Carter one, and not necessarily a matchup, but I'm paying particular attention to where Travis Kelce lines up because that determines what they're trying to do.
Like who they're trying to attack.
Yeah. So, for instance, they in trips formation, right? Travis Kelce is in the middle. He was on the outside. Then he motions to the middle, and then he runs 5 yards into the cornerback guarding him. So he looks like he's about to engage, like it's a screen coming his way. And what does he do? The receiver that was in the middle that is now on the outside runs a drag route. So basically that was just a glorified rub route, a mesh concept. And he left that cornerback. He had about 7 yards worth of space because that cornerback had to go around Travis Kelce. So sometimes you always hear me say this. Sometimes you don't have to make the play to make the play. And the only reason they didn't score on it is because Mahomes hit him with the ball too late. If Mahomes would hit him with the ball like right at the hash mark, he'd have had plenty of time to turn it up and race the safety to the end zone. But he threw it too late, so the safety caught up with him, but he still got about 15, 20 yards on that play. So I'm looking specifically where Travis Kelce lines up. Is he a decoy? Is he a blocker? Or is he somebody to run off of when you want to do those mesh concepts? That's why I keep saying this. Look at the spacing on what they do on offense. They are trying to create zones that are open. They run a lot of bunch sets. They'll have trips on one side, but all three of the linebackers are close together. Well, if the linebackers or if the receivers are close together, that means your DBs, your safety, and your linebacker, if he comes over to guard them, they're all close together. And the last thing you want is to have all them guys in the same space, because what are the receivers going to do? Spread out. And they don't know where we're going. So by the time they got to react, turn their hips, and try to run with us, now you got that 3 yards of separation that you want. It's all about spacing. So I'm looking specifically, number one, where Travis Kelce lines up, and number two, where is Xavier Worthy motioning to? Because a lot of times he'll motion to a trip side, or it'll be twins and he'll motion and it becomes trips, or he'll motion. Now they go jet motion and they hand him the ball off real quick. Things like that. It's usually Travis Kelce and Xavier Worthy. Those are the guys that I'm giving most of my attention to.
Let me ask you this question. You remember the Chiefs Tampa Bay Buccaneers Super Bowl, right?
Yes, vaguely.
But you remember that score, though. It was bad for the Chiefs. They only put up 9 points.
Right.
Let me ask you this. Is this 2024 Eagles defense better than that Tampa Bay defense?
I would argue that it is.
Would you say that Chiefs offense was more talented, was better than they are now? More explosive than they are now?
Yeah. I could argue that as well, but you can't look at it like that.
No. I'm with you. I just wanted to get your perspective on that real quick.
Yeah.
Now,
both valid points.
When you think about what Tampa Bay did in that game, because for me, it seemed like there was beyond just X's and O's. It seemed like there was a different mentality that those teams are playing with there. Obviously, the Chiefs are more experienced now than they were then.
Right.
But I look at that Tampa Bay defense and how physical they were, how disciplined they were at that time. And I think about this Eagles defense, how disciplined they are, how physical they are, how they force turnovers like that Tampa Bay team. I think this may be the best defense they faced in the Super Bowl. This may be the most complete, the most trustworthy defense they faced in a Super Bowl game. Would you agree with that, or would you challenge that?
No, I could argue that same point. That's a valid point.
I just think this deep. I just, again, I know I blew over about it, but I'm confident in this team, Marcus. Would you say you're more confident in this Super Bowl versus the 2022 one? For me, I say yes. For me,
yeah, I'm more confident in the defense, even though 22 didn't they have more sacks and all that kind of stuff.
That was it, just more sacks.
But I just think we're a better tackling team. Our secondary is better. Our defensive line is better, and we clearly have the best defensive player, two of the best defensive players in the league. Period. You can go 3 and 4 if you want to put Quignon and Coop in there, but Jalen Carter and Zach Bond are unmistakable. And you could argue Nolan Smith as well, the way he's been playing. So the weapons that we have on defense have just been ridiculous. Last year or in 22, you had Fletcher Cox, but he was aging. Hassan Reddick was on a tear. But the secondary, Bradbury played well that year. C.J. Gardner-Johnson played well. Darius Slay played well. But think about, we probably should have had 10 to 12 interceptions that year. How many picks did we drop that year?
Good point.
You know what I mean? So we're taking advantage of those opportunities. Now, we've been dropping a lot in the playoffs. So let's stop with that, especially when you're talking about Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
And to me, any game in the playoffs, when you have the opportunity to get your hands on the ball, you must come away with the ball, period. You can't have 3 drop interceptions like we did against LA. Because Murphy's Law says if you drop that pick, they're going to score on that series.
Yeah. Green Bay, they didn't drop them. They took advantage of those opportunities at Green Bay.
Correct. And what's the best way to stop Patrick Mahomes is not put the ball in his hands. That's a bad man over there, that 1-5. Yeah. You got to respect what he can do. I'm respecting our defense, but I've seen that dude do some stuff that's like, come on, man. And the only thing you can do is limit those opportunities to do that. Buffalo did that. Buffalo they didn't come up with the play at the right time. Mm-hmm. I saw in the chat earlier, people were talking about the refs and stuff like that. I mean, it goes both ways. You watch that game again, Buffalo should have got some calls too. But at the end of the day, right? I forget what his name is, number 34 for the Bills. That pass that Patrick Mahomes threw, he was getting sacked and he threw the ball anyway. 34 goes over there and they fight for the ball. It should have been incomplete because the ball hit the ground, but they gave him the pass. It never should have been an argument. 34 got to come up with that pick. To me, that's no different than what Isaiah Rodgers did against LA when he had that interception taken from him.
Had it.
You don't give the other team that possibility. You go up, you high point that ball, and you take it down. You pull that ball down like you're pulling down a rebound. So you leave no misunderstanding who came down with that ball. And the problem is we get too many opportunities when we almost had it. We dropped it. We did that. If you give these teams another opportunity, they are going to burn you, especially in the most important game of the year. And we can't have that.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. Thank you, S. Blunt, for the super chat, man. We appreciate you. Next up, we got Billy Williams with the $10 super chat. What's up, Billy? He says, yo, they better not mess up the field for entertainment antics. That field was a 12th man against the historic sack team. That messed up our Super Bowl that year. I hear you, but the Chiefs had to play on it too. So it's
Chiefs had to play on it too, man. They had to change their cleats too.
It's hard for me to really say it was aimed at stopping the Eagles, right? It's hard for me to really say that.
Let me say it like this. I understand, but I'm not going to use that as an excuse.
Yeah, it was frustrating. It was frustrating to watch. It was a travesty.
Like the Chiefs played in it too. They were slipping around a little bit, but, it is what it is.
Yeah. Now, to your point, Billy, there were moments where I saw a sack coming, and Patrick Mahomes did not see the guy, but he slipped coming around the corner, coming around the hula hoop. He slipped, and that's the way the cookie crumbles sometimes, man. That's the way the cookie crumbles.
And plus, we're playing on turf,
so we should be good now, right?
Yeah, we good. I'll go back and see what our defense did when we played New Orleans in the regular season.
They was flying that game.
That's the first game our defense showed up.
That was the very first game. That was because remember that was when they played New Orleans at their hottest. And I mean, I know that flame lasted very shortly, but because you could make an argument we broke New Orleans. They weren't the same after that game,
right?
And that was what, week 2, week 3, something like that.
I think it was week 4.
No, week 4 was Tampa Bay.
Okay, then it was.
No, week 3 was the Saints. Week 3 was the Saints. Atlanta was week 2. Yeah. But yeah, week 3, yeah, that defense was flying across the yard, man. It was remarkable to see, and it's poetic where it all started for that defense. It can end for him here. This is where you cement it. This is where you cement it. And we struggled to win in New Orleans. We struggled to win in the Dome, in the Superdome for a long time, and we got that off our backs in week 3. Now we return, very familiar with the area, very familiar with the field. I'm very, very confident in this defense. I'm very confident in this team right now. They're going to be flying to the ball.
Confident.
I think what's going to separate this game, in my humble opinion, obviously Mahomes is going to be Mahomes, and you got to just limit him from doing damage. I think what's going to separate this game? Who comes out being the more physical team?
Exactly.
Who comes out being the more physical?
We've been the more physical team
every step of the way.
Year.
Every step of the way. And I highly doubt it changes. You got too many killers on that defense. I mean, you got some nice guys, but you got guys that you got some guys that they're ruthless. They're assassins. You know, they have no remorse. No remorse. Shout out to Tom Clancy. Nolan Smith, no remorse. Jalen Carter, no remorse. Milton Williams, no remorse. You know, CJ no remorse. Quinyon Mitchell, no remorse. Like you got guys on this team who are just ruthless. You know, it's beautiful to see. But yeah, Billy, thank you for the super chat, my friend. We really
I just had an interesting thought. And literally, this just popped in my head for whatever reason.
Talk to me.
CJ Gardner-Johnson is going to be the MVP.
Of the game?
Yes.
We catching the pick six or something?
I don't know. I have no idea why that just came to me.
What?
CJ Gardner-Johnson is going to be the Super Bowl MVP.
Yo, that's the hottest take you said all year. I'm not even trying to be funny. No, I love CJ. I love CJ. You know I love CJ.
I don't come out the left field like that.
No, you came out the parking lot with that. That was the parking lot. That was the
bruh.
That was Broad Street.
Bank Park. That came from the link, bro.
Okay, all right. I'll indulge. I'll hear you. Tell me why.
I don't know.
Help me understand how you got there.
I cannot. I cannot justify it. I can't quantify it. I don't know. When I tell you it just came to me like that, literally it just came to me like that. CJ Gardner-Johnson is going to be the MVP.
Well, for all that logic, I can make a better argument for Zach Bond.
Yes, you can.
I can make a better argument for Zach Bond.
I can't explain it. And I'm not going to try to.
He's forced a turnover in every game in the playoffs this year.
I can't explain it, nor am I going to try to. I don't know why it came to be like that, but it popped in my head, and I was like, that's different. So, listen, I'm not even going to try to explain it. Maybe it'll come true, maybe it won't. But that popped in my head, and something told me to speak on it, so I'm speaking on it.
I'm not mad at it, though, because CJ came so close in 2022, and then he came close in 2023 with Detroit, and
3 consecutive years.
And he's a winning player. He's a player that easily translates to wins. He's a mentality shift. He's a mentality shift for defenses. Like he can really bring a new complexion to your defense. And you know, it's funny. He had this this huddle breakdown that they were practicing at LIX.
I saw it.
He said, "Listen, y'all know I talk a lot of shit, right?
A lot of shit.
They always like, yeah, we know. He said, but listen, this is what we've been preparing for. This is the moment you guys all wanted. Guys that been here, y'all know what we trying to do. Y'all know how bad that shit hurt. Y'all know what we trying to do here. New guys, hey, fall in line. Do your job. You know what I mean? Like he's to your point earlier about the ejection and what it did to him. He's going through it. He's gone through an evolution. Yeah. And he's been arguably one of the best safeties in football since week 9. I mean, you can do the research you guys want if you want. He's been one of the best safeties since week 9. And he's not afraid to hit, not afraid to get physical. I think the Eagles are going to end up being the most physical team in that game when it's all said and done. I think it's going to jump off the screen. Yeah. Because that's how they lost to Tampa. They weren't
feel that he laid on Pacheco in 22.
Yeah, he popped him.
Whew. And I like Pacheco because Pacheco runs violently.
Right. We need one of those Malcolm Jenkins, Brandon Cooks moments. Remember Malcolm Jenkins? You know, Brandon Cooks caught that ball. He was running in a circle trying to find where he was going to take the ball. Malcolm Jenkins popped him. Brandon Cooks out of the game. Took him out.
Laid him out.
Non-factor now. That was the moment where, you know, it always takes that one moment to say, all right, we're playing football now. We're here now. Yeah. The game has started. There's always that one moment. That was the moment in that game. And we're going to be searching for that moment when the Super Bowl starts on Sunday. Who's going to set the tone? Who's going to set the tone defensively?
And I saw somebody. Let me see if I can find this. because I saw somebody talking about Spags, and they were actually making good points on how he calls his defense, the purpose of it, what he was trying to do. Let me see if I can find it. And I was like, they were basically saying how much he changes things up. There's the speech from CJ.
Yep. And all you see is Jalen just smiling like, yeah, we see you see, yeah. Like there's a lot of leaders on this team, man. A lot of them.
I can't find it.
It's all good. I mean, look.
Basically, he was saying how much he was basically talking about how much Spags can have the hidden coverages and the way he shifts and bringing up and dropping back the cornerbacks. So it looks like a single high safety and he'll drop back and all of a sudden you got 3 deep zone, or like really confusing the offense that they don't know what they're doing. And my point was that's true. And Spags is known for that. However, if Saquon Barkley gets going, all of that shit goes out the door.
Exactly.
Because all it'll take is for one of those DBs to come up and then they bail out because they're trying to hide a coverage. And Saquon gets to the second level, and next thing you know, he's 50 yards down in the end zone. So when you do that, and Spags does that better than anybody else, but don't get it twisted. Every time you do that, that's a gamble. Because if somebody gets to the second level, and now instead of having 2 guys, you only got 1, and that 1 guy is on the wrong side of the field, that's bad for business. So, yes, they're going to gamble, but you gamble like that too many times with Saquon Barkley, and you're going to lose the war. So, tread carefully. Ask Joe Witt about that.
Yo, listen, sidebar, and really, thank you for the super chat, man. I appreciate you, big dog.
Thanks, Billy.
Appreciate you. Alex brought up a super chat that made me think here. Shout out to Alex. He said, Saquon having never faced KC is a plus for us. And I'm looking here at Saquon's game log for his career, and the Chiefs have never had to deal with him.
Interesting.
I just looked at his entire game log for his entire career. The Chiefs have never had to deal with this player. Never.
Interesting.
And
they had a hard enough time dealing with James Cook
when they decided to use him. I think the Bills went into that game all wrong.
Buffalo screwed that up.
They went into that all wrong.
Yeah.
And I was looking at some numbers here for KC over the course of the past 3 games in terms of their run defense. KC over the past 3 games. Here's the thing, right? Okay, so throughout the regular season, they were ranked 9th in run defense, giving up 106.7 yards per game. That's right behind the Eagles, who are ranked 8th, giving up 104.4, right? Peep this, though. Over the course of the last 3 games, for the Eagles, they played 3 games. The Chiefs, they played 2 in the playoffs, right? Minus the Super Bowl. The Eagles, over the past 3 games, they've been on par in their run defense. They've given up 105.7, only a yard more. They've been on par. The Chiefs, on the other hand, their run defense has plummeted over the course of the last 3 games.
Yeah.
The Chiefs' run defense has plummeted from averaging 106.7 over the course of the entire season to a massive 151.3 yards given up over the last 3 games in their run defense. And then in their previous game, the Eagles only gave up 99 rushing yards to a running quarterback in Jaden Daniels who can get things popping.
Right.
KC, they gave up 147 rushing yards to Buffalo. 147 rushing yards to Buffalo. And Buffalo didn't even lean into their running game like early enough. They waited, in my opinion, they waited way too long to get James Cook involved in that game. Way too long. That showed me something. If James Cook did that to them, and the Chiefs were at home, they did that to them because the Chiefs at home. See, the thing about the Chiefs' run defense, their run defense is the same at home, no matter where they are. At home, away, their run defense is exactly the same. They're giving up 106 yards on the road and at home. So their run defense is consistent, minus these last 3 games and minus the previous game.
Their total defense was what, 9th in the regular season?
Their total defense, let me double check that for you. Total defense when it comes to The Chiefs' opponent yards per game, they were top 10. They were ranked 10th. The Eagles were first. So the Chiefs were giving up 327.3 total yards per game throughout the regular season, and the Eagles were giving up 289.3 yards per game. Now I will say this though: both the Chiefs and the Eagles, over the course of the last 3 games, they've been giving up yards. Yeah. The Eagles have been giving up yards over the past playoff run. They went from 289 to 351. So the Eagles have been giving up yards. But
yeah, they're kind of in the same place.
They're kind of in the same place, total yards. But from a run defense perspective, Eagles have been in the same position. The Chiefs have gotten significantly worse. My point is, they haven't dealt with anybody of the caliber of Saquon this season at all. Yeah. With the combination of running back and offensive line, they haven't had to deal with that. Listen, Saquon, they're going to empty the gas tank. Be prepared to see Saquon, especially if it's working. Be prepared to see Saquon with 30-plus carries. Be prepared.
Empty the tank.
He's emptying the tank. If they can't stop it, I'm not going to overthink this game. I'm not.
Here's what I don't want, though, and I'm already going to say it because I know what's going to happen. With Chris Jones in there, they can't force the ball inside.
I want to test them on the edges first. That's what I'm going to do.
They can't force the ball inside. They got to look at the game plan of how Buffalo ran the ball, but it was the same thing. Buffalo ran the ball off tackle. And that's where James Cook had the most success. So you ain't got to reinvent the wheel. Just look at the film and run what works.
In that Commanders game, would you say the Eagles ran off tackle a lot in that game?
No.
Still, okay.
If you look at
even
first play of the game, first play of the game was the pitch.
Right.
I was here doing backflips, bro. You know I was happy. But the other ones was either just inside the tackle, and then he bounces outside. So he draws everybody in, then he bounces out and does what he has to do. So to me, technically, that's not an off tackle or
I was going to say that doesn't really count to you. The running back turned it into an off. Okay.
Because he's drawing everybody into traffic and he bounces outside, and while everybody's trying to fight through everybody else, he just outruns them.
And he has the get off to do that.
Yeah.
And you can't do that. You can't do that if you don't have the speed to break away.
Correct.
And the ability to just make guys miss. That's the thing, right? The same mystique that Patrick Mahomes is coming to this game with. I know, Mahomes has that lore, right? The same mystique that he's coming into this game with. I can make an argument Saquon Barkley's coming in with equal amount of mystique.
Yeah,
and he's the type of player. At this point, the way he's been running through the playoffs, especially the past 2 games, you give him the ball one time, he's taking it to the crib. That you know how. You tell me, how scary is that for a defense to know there's a guy back there that if you make one mistake, just the slightest, he can take that shit 60 yards on you.
Absolutely. And I am expecting, just like last game, I am expecting Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown to go off. Because I guarantee you, the Chiefs are tired of hearing about Saquon Barkley. So our play action should be on point. But we got to run play action out of pistol. We can't run it out of gun. If we run it out of gun, the only way it's going to be successful is if you're giving Saquon the ball to go outside from gun. I hate when we run the ball out of gun formation and then he goes up the field, because that means you got to go sideways and then change direction before the line of scrimmage. You never want to do that.
Right.
Even when they run jet motion on a reverse, the receiver's running full speed and he just runs his way outside and outruns everybody to the corner. So I'm hoping, and I got to have confidence because, hey, at least I do. I bitch, moan, and complain about that all year. But you know what? What you going to say about somebody that rushed for 2,000 yards? So only thing I'm saying is, Kellen Moore, I am going to trust you to do what you do best and use the most powerful running back in the NFL. Use him correctly. I'm going to place my trust in Kellen Moore that he's going to do that. We study in film just like they study in film. And you know what? For as much and rightfully so, for as much as people prop up Spags, and again, rightfully so, because Spags is that dude. Spagnola is a hell of a coach. But again, we done passed every test we've gotten. And I'll use your term. Spagnola ain't came across a buzzsaw like Saquon Barkley and this offensive line.
I agree with you.
But we got a fast track. Everybody should be healthy. I haven't heard anything about Cam Jurgens and Landon Dickerson.
I'm assuming they're playing.
I'm assuming they're playing. Play, but I want to see, how close are they to 100%? Like that type of stuff. But like you said earlier, man, empty the tank. Empty the tank.
Yeah.
You got a long bye week if you don't get it done this week, bro.
Yeah. Saquon's fresh.
Time to rest.
And the previous the Commanders game, he only had 15 carries. So he is that's a tiger that's waiting to come out the cage, man. And I've been looking at I like to analyze the game a little bit from the psychological standpoint. I'm not a psychologist, obviously, but I like to just look at the mannerisms. I like to look in guys' eyes and just the emotion and just what they're feeling and based off the situation. Saquon Barkley, he's so close, he can smell it, he can taste it, he can feel it, he knows it's there. Saquon Barkley, Shayshawn Barkley, Shayshawn Barkley. This brother is moving. He's running like a man possessed. He's possessed. He's possessed.
Yo, I just let me share this with you, bro. I texted N'Kobe Dean at about 10:30 this morning. I said, Super Bowl week, bro. We ain't here without you. He just hit me back. He said, one more.
Shout out to N'Kobe, man. Shout out to N'Kobe. You know what I mean? My man PFT with the exclusive. You feel me?
One more.
I'm telling y'all, make sure you guys lock in with my man, Coach Markus at Pro Fan Talk. My man dialed in. He got N'Kobe on speed dial. I mean, it's just that simple. It's just that simple. Come on. Make sure you guys lock in. This is how connected he is. This is how connected we are, man. I've had Seth Joyner on the show. You know what I'm saying? I've had Derek Gunn on the show. Me and him both got a line to B Brooks. We're connected in this thing, man. N'Kobe Dean, he got me beat up. I can't top that one. I can't top that one. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to my man, Coach Markus at Pro Fan Talk. Make sure you guys subscribe to the brother, man. He does amazing work. Smash that like button, you guys. You guys are doing phenomenal. Be Ruffle, I'm going to get to your super chat real quick. K.O. the Green, thank you for becoming a member, man. I really do appreciate the love, appreciate the support. Just so you guys know, when you become a member, you have access to exclusive badges, exclusive member badges, exclusive emojis, as you guys have seen throughout the live chat. You guys see my man Trey using using the emojis, man. You see Dink Bird Gang with his badge as well, right? Your badge elevates the longer you're a member. So make sure you guys stay locked in. Shout out to K.O. Green for becoming a member, man. I really do appreciate you. All right, B. Rufo with the super chat. He says, can you see a scenario, hypothetical, of course, where the refs call is egregiously wrong and the game decided and Sirianni refuses to continue to play? Is that possible? No. This ain't high school or nothing. Like, this ain't that. No.
Let's everybody pray that the refs are consistent. If they're going to be tight and calling every little thing, as long as they're consistent, as long as they call it on both sides for the whole game. Don't be tight and then call it loose at the end. Or don't be loose and call it tight at the end.
That's my problem. That'd be my problem. Stay consistent. Because I'm sure you rewatched that game, like you said, right? The previous Super Bowl. Bradbury was a little handsy that game the whole time.
Yeah. And that last call was like, I watched it the other day and I was like,
the least of the holes he did all day.
Yeah, I was like, that was weak sauce.
Yeah. Shout out to B Rufo though, man. We appreciate you, man. Once again, shout out to my man K.O. Green for becoming a member of the Chalk It Up Familia. I appreciate you, brother. Alex with the super chat, one of our other members. Shout out to Alex with the $4.99. He says also Smitty has played great versus KC. 20 catches for 321 yards in 3 games. Good point.
I like it.
Very good point. That's a very good point, Alex. Very good point. And that's he showed up in that Super Bowl big time. Smitty always show up in big games. When you put the ball in his hands, he's a very trustworthy player.
Facts.
Shout out to Alex, man. We appreciate you. Donnell Shipley with the super chat. He says, I have to lock in with Coach Markus. He from where I'm from, Louisville.
Oh, that's what's up. What's up? My people in Kentucky falling through, man.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, I used to come down to Louisville and party down there, man, because you know, but at the time when I was in college, my girlfriend went to Louisville. So I would be down there going to frat parties and all that type of stuff, man. So, and I remember the one year, that was a big thing for us, my junior year, Eastern Kentucky. We played Louisville, went down there. We had a good showing. They beat us. I think they beat us like 23-17 or something like that. But yeah, Louisville is, yeah, man, that's like home, bro. Richmond, Kentucky, Louisville. My twin sister went to Kentucky State. So I was all up and down that area, bro, for sure.
Sure, man. Shout out to Donnell Shipley, man. We appreciate you guys. All right. Green Wingman with the super chat. My guy, he says, to Pro Fan Talk, 9 Eagles question. Will you start a league in maximum football?
Will I start a league in maximum football? I'm gonna have to do that, man. Once the season's over with, I definitely might do that. I done made a couple teams. You know, I bought the game because I like to customize the uniforms. I'm a graphics guy. So definitely, man, I'm gonna have to do that. I'm definitely gonna have to do that, man. I'm looking into that because I know they still kicking out updates and patches and things of that nature, man. And I like the people that's developing the game. The developers will talk to you on Discord. You know what I mean? So it's a nice little intimate community. And I like the game. The game, is it Madden? Is it a Madden killer? No. But is it a good game? Absolutely. And I had fun with it. You can put your custom things. The only thing I need now is for them to let us figure out a way to let us do custom plays. But to answer your question,
back in the day on the old Maddens, you should be able to create your own plays, like from scratch.
Yeah. But
isn't
now
it crazy?
You got to look at it now. They've got every play you can think of in the roster now. So there's really no need to. But I wish you could just take a player and say, hey, I want to take my X receiver and I can choose which route I'm going to give them. That's what I want to do. So, but I don't think Maximum Football does that yet. But to answer the question, I will definitely look into that because I think that would be fun. So, yeah, I'm thinking about that, man. Thanks for the heads up. I might just do that. Hit me up on Discord.
For sure.
Hook me up on Discord. My Discord is Philadelphia Eagles fans, and it's a picture of me. So that's it.
That's cool. That's dope, man. That's dope.
I didn't think. Can I share it? Let me see if I can.
It's funny. Isn't it crazy how Madden used to be so? It used to be so in depth, like in the 04 Madden, 05 Madden, like those are like some of my favorite Maddens. Like when now they spend so much time trying to on these engines and the graphics, and it's bare bones. It's not as detailed and intricate as the old. It's crazy how it seemed like they were able to do more with less back in the day.
Yeah.
Right. Back then those games weren't even a gig as far as size goes. Right. I mean, on the PlayStation, you had memory cards that was what 8 megabytes. Like it was crazy. That's where we were. Right. Now all these games are north of 100 gigs, and they're nowhere near as detailed as the old games.
You got people buying external hard drives for a game.
It's insane.
For a game. I stopped playing Madden when my grandson started beating me.
That's hilarious.
It was like it was time to hang up the sticks. But Maximum Football, man, I started following that game for a while, and I was like, let me see what this is. I did it like, let me just support these dudes. Because the first time I got into their server, dudes answered my question, and I was like, I'm definitely feeling that. So I stuck with them. So that's my Discord server. So holla at me.
Yeah, you guys lock in with Pro Fan Talk on this Discord, man. Shout out to you, man. That's tough. Shout out to you, man. It's funny. Somebody was telling me to start a Discord, but I'm like, I don't really know too much about it. So
I ain't gonna lie, it took me a minute. It took me a minute to get used to it because it's different. It's definitely different. So you just like anything else, you got to get used to it, especially now. You're so used to Twitter and Instagram and stuff like that, but that's a different beast and they operate a little bit different. But once I got comfortable with it, I'm still not fully comfortable with it, but I know enough. I got a couple people that are friends, and every time I have a stream or even this stream, I put it on Discord so people can join in and stuff like that. To me, it's just another community, but I like Discord because I like the engagement I get with the people on Discord better than Facebook. So it's, to me, it's a little bit more personal. It's a little bit more direct. So I just continue to roll with it.
Yeah. Shout out to Grunt Smurf for this post here, this in the chat. I agree with 100%. My favorite football game ever is ESPN 2K5, man.
2K5.
For me, it's ESPN 2K5. Then it's Madden 07. Then because 07 has Sean Alexander on the front. Then it's Madden 04 with Michael Vick on the front. Those are my 3 favorite Maddens of all time. Three favorite football games.
Wasn't 2K5 the last one before EA Sports got the
ESP? Because that was the year they got outsold.
Well, no, didn't they get the NFL
this is what happened.
Exclusive deal with EA Sports?
This is what happened. ESPN 2K5 and Madden 2005 came out the same year, and it was universally regarded ESPN 2K5 superseded Madden's EA Sports. It was 2K had supplanted EA in that market, but EA had the bigger bag, the bigger pocketbook,
bigger pockets. Absolutely.
So
they've been around longer.
So what they did was they put a monopoly on the market.
Yep.
Which is illegal, but they did it.
And Madden went down ever since.
And Madden's been declining ever since they got a monopoly on the market because they didn't have to compete. When you ain't got to compete and you're the only football game that people add credibility to, then at that point you can just do whatever you want, and we got to accept it, right? ESPN 2K5 gave EA a run for their money, and they got scared because they knew for a fact if they let this go on, Madden will become a thing of the past.
Absolutely.
Like
absolutely.
The way
you can see right now, what's the best basketball game? 2K. And NBA Live is the EA Sports. See, EA Sports, you know what they did? They say, you know what? We're putting all our chips on football. And 2K say, you know what? We're putting all our chips on basketball then. Simple as that. Yeah. And they ain't had no other option. But regardless, though, because I grew up playing NBA Live. Yeah, exactly.
I grew up playing NBA Live. And then 2K took over, and that was the vibe, right? But regardless, though, what I loved the most about ESPN 2K5 was the pregame, like the pregame hype that they would like. It was so real in terms of just you had people tailgating, you had people playing cornhole, you had people grilling. You had what's my OG name? Boomer is not Boomer. Oh my God, he does the show on ESPN Plus with Booger McFarlane. Oh my God, the OG is a legend in the game. The voice, he has the legendary voice. Oh my God, what's his name? What is it? Chris Berman? Is it Berman?
Oh yeah, Chris Berman. Yeah,
Chris Berman. Yes, he was like the commentator.
He was the play-by-play guy.
He was the play, like he was like the pregame commentator and all that kind of stuff. Like, and you just had a halftime show, and you see guys sitting at the desk. Like, it was so real.
Yeah, they produced that.
They created an experience, and they weren't
because the thing about Maximum Football, and I wish 2K5 would have did something like this. If they would have came out the next year, just put out a blank football game and let people create their own uniforms. What do you think the people did on Maximum Football? First thing they do is create the Eagles, create the Steelers. Everybody creates their favorite team, and you can customize the players. So what you had people that had the whole NFL rosters complete like the week the game launched. It was crazy. Dude, y'all see?
Oh, yeah. You know what? I definitely noticed it. I'm meaning to ask you about it too, but it came up today, so.
Yeah.
Man. Yeah, but we got a Super Bowl coming up, man. You guys, Marcus hit me up yesterday, and he was like, "Hey, we still doing a show tomorrow, right?" I said, "Let's do it, bro." He said, He was like, "Let's keep this momentum going." I said, "Let's go, man." So, you guys, this has been a hell of a show, man. We've covered a lot of ground. We're going to break this down more and more as the weeks go, and we're going to obviously do our pregame show before the Super Bowl. Same time as always. Today we did it an hour later because we didn't have a game. Wanted to get some extra Z's in. But again, make sure you guys continue to stay engaged. Make sure you guys continue to stay locked in. The content only gets better We thank you guys for donating to the channel. We appreciate all the super chats. We appreciate the new members to the channels as well. Goes a long way. Again, make sure you guys are subbed up to Pro Fan Talk. My man, Coach Markus, does amazing work, as you guys can already tell. Make sure you guys are also subscribed to the Chalk It Up Network. Man, Chalk It Up Sports is growing really, really fast. You guys have been phenomenal. I don't take it for granted.
I just hit 6K, bro.
Yo, I just hit Yo, it's funny you said that. I had 7K. I had 7K. I had 7K on game day last Sunday. Yeah. I just crossed 7K, and I'm already at, what is this? I was just looking at it. I'm already at like 72.
It speeds up, bro, don't it?
7.2, 7.3, something like that. I'm already like, it's crazy. So listen, the people have really been showing us a lot of love, man. And we're growing, and I wouldn't want to be on this journey without anybody else, man. Like, you my dog. So I'm glad.
Let me make one request.
Yes, my man.
When I put out the film studies, let me see if I can get back to. When I put out the film studies, do me a favor and make sure you subscribe when I put out the film studies, because when I do the film studies, the NFL slaps that copyright on them and you can't monetize them.
Yeah, you guys.
Even when I do things different and I add graphics and even when I change it up, even if you change it up, the NFL still puts their stamp on it and you cannot monetize.
Absolutely.
So
I don't want you guys again. Stay active.
Yeah, so I was like, just make sure you subscribe, because these the film studies, I put a lot of work in them, and we can't monetize them. So
yeah,
appreciate the support, but they still getting good views though.
Yeah, that's the thing. So, you know, they can be used as a way to just funnel people to your content. So
absolutely.
Again, you guys, make sure you guys stay locked in on Pro Fan Talk. Again, he's giving you film study. He's giving you pre-game, post-game. You're getting live streams throughout the week. He's covering the WNBA. He's covering the sport. He's covering the ins and outs and the changes in the sports industry. I mean, he does an amazing job covering Philadelphia, because I can't spice it enough. I can't put any more sauce on it. Like, I watch his film studies. He makes sure you understand what's going on. I mean, just look at the work he puts in his setup. You know, I mean, the graphics and just the technical savvy he has. He's all about giving you guys this full entrenched experience. So make sure you guys continue to stay locked in with my guy. He's one of the best out here, man. He deserves his flowers. Let's get to this final super chat, then we getting out of here, Markus. Dino Shipley with the $10. Thank you, man. He says, I know y'all give us love for getting y'all to 5K and 7K, but it's the work you guys put in. We wouldn't follow y'all if y'all didn't do good work. So we appreciate y'all.
Appreciate that.
I know that's true. That's true, man. The bottom line is you got to put out a good product at the end of the day, right? You know, yeah, consistency is important. Showing up is important, but you also got to invest in your product, invest in giving people an experience, and you want to also be reasonable. You want to be fair. You want to be honest. You want to be authentic. You know, right? You know, we can. I know you guys can sniff that out a mile away, and I'm the same no matter where I'm at. And the thing is, with my content in particular, I got family that watch this. I got friends that watch this. I mean, people in my personal life that know me. I can't come on here and do no faking. People that know me in real life know this is me. I'm passionate. I can be brazen. I can be brash. You know, I can be very emotional at times. I can be loud. You know, I'm very intentional though. I care about what I talk about. I do my homework. People that know me, and there's no way I could do this content without being exposed. I got too many people that love me dearly to let me go outside on this YouTube space. So again, I appreciate you guys. Donnell, thank you so much for acknowledging that hard work we put in. It means a lot to us. So on that note, you guys, it's been a hell of a show. It's been a hell of a show. It's been a hell of a show. You guys know me and Markus are going to be back next Sunday, giving you the pregame, giving you the scoop, the updates when it comes to injuries, keys to the game. We're going to give you guys our score predictions, our bold predictions, all that, the entire gamut. We're going to have you guys covered. So make sure you guys stay locked in. This has been your Eagles preview show, not your pregame show, but your Eagles preview show, featuring my man, Coach Markus from Pro Fan Talk, and yours truly, Tone DeShields II from the Chalk It Up Sports Network, where no matter if we win or if we lose, we just got to charge to the game. Hey, Markus, play that song, man.
Go Birds.
In the city of Philly, where the birds take flight, Eagle swag on the rise each and every night. Coach Markus got the scoop ready to ignite, from the lanes of South Street to the Broad Street lights. Dashing like a running back, hitting every play. Nine guys in the zone, never led astray. Talking touchdowns, talking game day. Huddle around the mic, hear what they gotta say. Fly like an eagle, soars in the sky. Coach Markus always standing by. Bringing the heat, call it do or die. Philly squad, hear the battle cry. Fly like an eagle, soars in the sky. Coach Markus always standing by. Bringing the heat, call it do or die. Philly squad, hear the battle cry.